Close that. I'm going to get that sun out. Just a second here.
Yeah, no worries.
Tied up.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Leading Crypto. Magic Internet Money and myself. We're going to go ahead and dive into the market here. We're going to cover some ideas here for Bitcoin's possible next moves. We're going to go over some of the ideas with what's some of the news to come, along with the S&P 500, a few altcoins, things of that nature, all the fun stuff. So, Magic, how are you doing today, sir?
Always fantastic, man. It's a beautiful Monday. Get your week started right, guys.
It is a beautiful Monday. Any day that we get to see and we are blessed with your beautiful face and headphone set is quite the spectacle. So great way to start the week indeed.
The V-necks are only going to get deeper from here, guys. So tune in. Yeah.
The deeper the Bitcoin price goes, the deeper the V-neck's going to go.
I don't know what it's like down in Florida, but it's like gloomy and rainy here and kind of cold.
Man, it is like so hit or miss here. You know, we had that hurricane blew through a few weeks back, and then like it was one of the most actually aside from all the damages and all that, like to people's homes and things of that nature along the beaches and everything like that. The weather after this storm was like the most beautiful it's been for like a while. It was like nice and non-humid and this and that for like several days. And then now it's like 90s, and then the next day it's like 60, and then it's just so sporadic. You can never really tell. But yeah, there's some crazy times along the market and other things going on, I suppose. Out there in Kansas, though, you got the snow coming in quite yet, or is it just
No, God, I hope we don't get any snow. I'm hoping we don't get snow until like Christmas time, but you never know. Like it could literally be. It could be, like I said, it was 101 degrees 3 weeks ago. And then within 2 weeks, we had a high of like 37 one day. And I woke up and it was 19 degrees. So, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get here.
I guess you're pretty similar to us then. Granted, you're a worse caliber.
Yeah.
We can always assume it's going to be muggy and somewhat warm, and you get a little coolness once in a while, but not like that.
Yeah. The wind blows here too. That's the other problem. So like when it's 40 degrees out in the winter, it tends to blow a little bit harder. So if it's, 40 degrees, it's really not that bad. But if the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, it's just like, fuck, dude, like it's just miserable to be outside.
That's it. All right. Danny says hello. Hello, Lola. Hitting us with the GM.
Good morning, Isaac. Good morning, Lola. Lola. You're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce that. I know you just joined the group, so and then Rena. Good morning. I'm gonna share this to my Twitter. I didn't do that yet, but yeah, we're gonna dive into some stuff today. Honestly, do you want to start with S&P a little bit? We'll probably do that. I think that would be a decent idea, just because that's gonna pretty much govern general direction in the medium and long term. So.
Yeah, so I'll pull up my chart.
Yeah, no worries.
Like earlier, I didn't clean up my S&P a little bit, so we'll take a look at it.
I say I've got mine pulled up right now. If you want, it's ready to it's ready to rock and roll. So I was looking at it a little bit this morning, guys. I really haven't added any levels. So what we have here is I'm just looking at this on the daily. You can track this as well, just based on trend over the last year. This would be our yearly trend. So you can see it's down. That's not a secret to anyone. Breaking out of this trend puts us back above the 2-year key level here, basically at a 38, or no, that's 39.2341. So in reality, $4,000, this breakdown line here. So this is a biannual pivot. So big area to get back in, not even looking at volume, just looking at trend. That would be a change of behavior. You could then start saying, where's my trend line from the all-time highs? Are we looking at maybe retesting this up near the Q3 NPOC and that Q1 low to fill that void? That would be the most bullish case. But you're getting rejected here at the 2021 open and the Q3 open. So you are coming into resistance with a statistical overhead target here at the Q4. And I believe this is the Q3 value area low as well. So you are trading outside of a fairly important range. And again, we were just talking about if you were to break your trend and head up to this Q3 NPOC Q1 low, turn our trend back on, there you go. So that puts you right in that place to break out and then hit those and maybe fulfill this a little bit more. But for now, I'm not looking for anything quite like that just yet. You really need to see this living back above the 2021 open and the Q3 open here, right around 37.64. If you can do that, I think that's enough cause to at least see the next $100 move up to this 39.23, and then we can kind of take it from there. And as you start zooming out even more, which I don't do a whole lot of low time frame stuff with this particular asset, just because I think the high time frames get it so well. But this is your yearly range to date, and it's 10 months in almost, guys, so it's fairly complete. You can see that even if you popped all the way back up to 39.23 here, you're still living outside of the standard deviation of volume. So you still haven't found acceptance into these major ranges yet. So you really do want to wait for confirmation, get that move back above 39.23 on SPY, SPX, however you want to look at it. If you get that, obviously the DXY is going to be coming down. You're going to see a lot of things in confluence with it. That's going to bode well for crypto assets. But until then, I am, cautious on it. We're at support. So support is support till it's not, but we have some really clear levels of invalidation, and we're really pushing on that support. So if the S&P 500 is not making this move up, it's hard to be overall bullish on the market when you know that the next 75 basis point hike is probably around the corner. I doubt they go 50. Some people are speculating 50, but I just don't see it happening. I see another 75. So even if you guys think 75, it's par for the course. That's a really high interest rate in today's environment. And we've done 4 of them in the row. So they are front loading these rate hikes, and they've talked about it. If you follow like the narrative that the Fed's talked about, they're going to front load these things because they waited too long to start tightening. That was the overwhelming sentiment that they've said. We waited too long. We could have done this earlier and made it a much softer landing. They can still try to achieve one, but I think if they stop tightening too soon, it's exactly what they were worried about. You then run into inflation again. Is inflation under control? Are we just now getting it curbed? And if so, we have to kind of keep pressing it down. Does that mean we want to tank the whole market? I don't see anything like 100 basis point coming. I know some people have said that too, but that's not, I don't think that's in the realm of possibilities for the next one. But yeah, knowing that's coming, I'm still, leaning bearish on the price action until there's a reason to not be. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. I know there's a few levels here. I used to box them off really, really cleanly so that you guys would have them. Let's see here. This would be your area to get back above right here if acceptance is found. And then I did have the 2021 open and 2021 low boxed off right here. So you can see these two levels. This is support until it's not. So I'm going to get rid of that little one. I think I had that for a POC on a local day trade, and then that would be your support. So you're looking to see, can we bounce from this support to this box essentially? So we want to get acceptance and see that move into here. And if it can, we can start looking up to the annual pivot and targeting this high potentially even. So that's where I'll leave it. Pretty simple, cut and dry. You're at support, but you're failing to do anything material with it, which is important to know. So
always amazing, man. Always amazing. What's interesting, you bring up that, and everybody was not expecting, I suppose, but it's just like we've been literally at 19.1, give or take. Obviously we've had some deviations down, bringing to us the June low. We've had a run up to 25, but in the grand scheme of things, we are at the same price points for Bitcoin, at least that we've been in for 4 or 5 months. I think at this point, going into the end of the year now, I think that many were anticipating, October to be this glorious Q4 October beginning, blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada, as I should say.
Yeah, right.
And it's just been consistent, sideways, just the range, right? It's just been chopping everybody up. It's been, cultivating fear. I think you've said that best, to where, we get to that level that's, right below that psychological area that everybody, wanted to hold, that 20K, that we've been under the 2017 all-time high basically the entire time as well. You've seen how Ethereum has melted through those levels, and all these older ideas that, Bitcoin had never done this, or the market had never done that. And all those things are obviously changing and evolving as the market's maturing for crypto. And it's very interesting to note that, the S&P, we've got the DXY, all these things kind of align with, a major move coming, whether it's up or down in the coming weeks here. What are your thoughts on, that Fed meeting on November 2nd being that catalyst time, like that first week of November, ended up being, what ends up resolving, these moves for once and for all for the last few months here.
I think that there is a decent chance that we get a resolution or at least some kind of a move out of the markets that's going to be fairly pivotal in the first week of November. I've said that November 7th is the date that I've had on my chart for quite some time now, for a better part of a year, being the one-to-one in time for our retracement, meaning that there is still time for this to continue doing what it's going to do. And you can't really marry either side of the coin right now, especially with everything going on from a macro environment. It's hard for me to get overly excited about the price action, which, some people say that's a indication of bottom, but at the same time, you don't want to front run something like the Fed. Like, you can't do that. It's just not something that's a good idea to do, because you'll look like a genius when you're right, but the moment that you're not, it's like, that's why I always tell people, like, technicals, they don't lie. It's really important to keep up with this. I don't call it news, I call it policy, because that's what it is. It's affecting the markets because it's actual inputs that go into the market, right? So it will affect traders, but I do think that could be a catalyst. Like, that first week of November, we could see a break. I mean, we could see it before then. We're getting really close. Like, this range is limited. So if you haven't either reduced your risk to where you're comfortable on either situation, or, you're waiting, like, and being patient, now's the time to be setting alerts and paying attention to those important levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had this idea for a bit here. It's like, if we break to the upside, especially, it would be, this time, the amount of time we've spent in this area, everybody that wants to call this a bottom, we've got a pretty even split, actually. I think we were talking about this earlier, where sentiment is basically down the middle. It's either going to 10K or below, or we're, the bottom occurred and we're going back to 50K. And, the melt up theories, and it's not even just in crypto. I mean, there's been, talk about that in the stock market as well, pretty much this entire year also. And it would be something to really just, finally just break this range to the upside, run it back to some of the targets we've been looking at for a bit. And, all the things would then, you'd be looking at the end of the year, you'd be looking at, the Fed, whether, let's just say, for example, we pulled back a little bit, or it just wasn't anything more than expected. And, things weren't as bad as everybody expected, and markets take off a bit, and we're heading higher, and everybody FOMOs back in because they're expecting nothing but this is the beginning of the next bull run. Traditionally, for Bitcoin, and I used to be a really, really big advocate of the 4-year cycle. That would entail a 1-year bear market and all these things, right? And in my opinion, I think that those that's not something you can really weigh too heavy on anymore. I think that we're really building out the first 20-year cycle for crypto alongside of a housing market idea. But either way, we take it for what's in front of us, right? Like, take it level by level, and it's going to be an interesting sight if we do get a pretty decent move, one of those God candles even in the beginning of next month, and then going into this end of the year, because it would be that perfect recipe to trap everybody in again. Because what would we be running into at that point? It would be the 1-year anniversary, basically, of the top of the market. So that would look like the bear market, was coming to completion. It'd be a year later. You'd have the Fed maybe pulling back, and it would have all these ingredients that, I guess what I'm trying to say is just, like Magic said, just be very, set your alerts, have your strategy in play. You don't want to be chasing anything when things start getting moving, because we've all seen how quickly these things can move. And it really is to either side here, right? So it's just going to be an interesting time. I think that first week of November, as you've said, you've had that level, that area marked out for quite some time. We speak on it in the group, basically every member update. So it's going to be an interesting time frame for sure. And it always happens to align with one of these Fed meetings. So
just hit my level to the T, baby. 19,169 was the level that we gave this morning. 19,166.50. That's my final take profit on that short. The rest of it is going to just run until either I'm stopped out or this thing nukes. There's just no reason to close the trade. I'll share my screen here in just a second.
I was going to say, it's time for Bitcoin. Perfect.
Time to look at the charts, right? So just so you guys know, if you're new to this, a lot of you guys are in the group that are watching it, and we appreciate it. But if you're new and you guys don't watch us regularly, if there's a trade that's available to take live in the moment, I've no hesitation probably going to be doing that in the future. We'll just do some live trading during it, because this is the New York session, and this is when I like to trade. So if there's one available, while I love you guys, but I will take time away from the stream and make you guys watch me take a trade. So, but yeah, this is I call it caveman level, really nice hand generated pivot. And we have come down. These have about an 84% hit rate across their lifespan. So it's almost as good as a daily pivot, and a little bit better than the weekly pivot even. So that like sweet spot between, like your 30 to 60 days to 1 to 7 is pretty good. So getting a little reaction there, but what you've done is you've basically deviated the range here. So you've got where you opened up on the weekly, which is a fairly important level at this point. You were downtrending, finding acceptance into the previous day value area, and now you're cycling it. So we know that high probability we're going to hit the point of control and then maybe even come down to the value area low, which lines up with your previous day low. Now, on a macro side of things, this is going to be something that you guys need to pay attention to. I do have ATS up. I think I was looking at Adam earlier. We can talk about that another time. But one thing to keep in mind is that you're coming into some pretty important areas. So we're talking about overall range resolution. What's giving us the indication that maybe we could be seeing that? If you're just looking at price as of right now, while that's getting loaded up on ATS, like we can zoom out a little bit here, and you can see that you've got very clear support here, right around the previous week low. It was that 18,642 to 18,461. 18,461 really being kind of the line in the sand for me, just from a structural break. And so you're really putting a lot of pressure onto this support here, right? So you can see that you're just hammering it. And so people will say this is consolidation because you do have some higher lows here, but at the same time, you're putting in lower highs. So you have a bit of a compression. But the real question becomes are we consolidating at support, or are we consolidating over support waiting to break it? There is a difference in that. And that's why pattern traders trade the way they do, because the lower highs are telling you something. They're telling you what the order flow is telling you. It's just a little bit lagging. You're seeing this. Okay, buyers were not strong enough to push outside of this range. Buyers are no longer strong enough to even get back to the high of the range. Buyers are still not strong enough, still lower high. So if you start coming down, one thing that we did do is the overall point of control of our consolidation here was at 20K, which is that round nice number. Some people will refer to it as the previous all-time high, which is pretty close depending on the exchange you're at. But in reality, 20K was the number that was holding fairly well for quite some time. And now we need to get back above that, because that's where we've done a lot of volume, but we shifted. So our volume profile POC did shift down, not just the time POC, but the volume did as well, which is a big deal. So the most volume and the most time has been split between 19,100 and 19,150. And so what is the importance of that? Well, if you just take a look at this profile, which I know you guys probably don't like the TPO colors, but it's a big lowercase b. And what that's showing you is that over time, these profile POCs are just getting moved down. Price is getting pushed down and down and down. Very similar to FTM. When I made the FTM call at like $2.50 to like $3, I was like, this thing doesn't get back above 235 long term, it's going to nuke its continuation down to at least $1. And then I think it was 50 cents we were looking for, and I think it went even lower than that. So that was one where like you have to be looking at this in a similar structure and saying this is not a good look in terms of a volume profile. You really want to see this thing moving back above some of these levels, and in particular 20,100. If we put 20,100 right here, you can see that's going to get you in shooting range of trying to get back above some of these key levels. I'm a pretty conservative trader in terms of my macro looks, right? So when we're looking at this, you can see that the 12M1 here, and I'm just going to take this box and clone it and put it on to a Bitcoin chart real quick for you guys, so you guys can see what I'm talking about a little bit cleaner. And there we go. And so anytime we're above this level, which this is, again, another pivot that I gave before we even entered this range, it was 20,688.50. And now we have the new Q4 pivot above there at 20,904. If you're not back above this, there's no reason to expect $22,500, $23,000. Like this is, 20,100 is going to be the level, because it is for that right here locally. But getting back above this would get me way more bullish. I would be expecting that move back to the range highs at that point. S&P would be responding as well. But you are coming into that key area here where we have to be holding on to 19,100, give or take, because if you don't, you start losing this. You can see it right here. It's your previous week EQ. We've now filled the NPOC from last week, so we can get rid of that guy. You start losing this level. There's really nothing down here. I mean, you have 19K, of course, but you're looking down to the previous week low. You've been trading above this level, and support is here until it's not. You've got nothing but a floor beneath you, and you're going to hit the previous week low. And the only trade at that point is a swing failure pattern of the previous week low, right? That's what you want to be long on. You want to be long on this. You don't want to be longing right here. You want to make sure you're getting confirmation, because if it just blows through this, you're at the bottom of the range. You're probably going to the June low, maybe lower. So that would be my thing. You're at really key support right now. We did have bearish divergences on the order flow coming into this stream. Actually, we were talking about it before we went live. I was saying Mac's not going to join us, but we did have bearish CBD. I was testing out Twins Delta strategy a little bit to take a look at it. And you know what? I think it would have given you all an entry, actually, if you were trading it. If you traded Twins strategy, you would have gotten entry off this. Granted, it's a small move, but you would have got one. And it looks like it is on declining OI, and you're getting an entry for the long side even. So he's done a really good job with this. This is a solid one. But even if you're looking at this, you can see here you have higher highs on your delta. You've got lower highs in price. That's clearly bearish absorption here at the value area high of our current day and weekly value area high, but also that previous day value area session we were talking about, where if we find acceptance, you take the trade. A lot of people are like, well, how do you know when to take the trade? This would be a very, very good area to be looking at this going. We're retesting the area we need to get out of, this previous day value area high here, and you're seeing bearish absorption. So you're seeing sellers take control of price right here, take control again right here, because as people are market buying into this, someone has sat there with more money just pushing the price down, continuing to methodically work the price down because sellers are in control. So it's, trading is, I wouldn't say it's easy by any means, but there's little nuances, especially with some of these tools, that if you use them correctly, you don't have to be the most complicated trader. You can definitely make a good chunk of change in this market. So getting a good bounce from this pivot, which is to be expected, still, for me, you're going to want to see us start reclaiming the Q4 open would be a great barometer. I think the weekly open, you could do that if you're a little more conservative. Anywhere between that 19,411 up to 19,560 area is where you need to see price getting back above. And you definitely don't want to see it losing this local range here. Like if we rotate the range and bounce, that's great. It's a gold pockets right here at the previous day low. I have an alert set for it. You can see that here. That's the trade I'm interested in if I'm going to do a scalp long. But in reality, if that doesn't hold, I mean, you're going to be looking down. And we did leave some things down here at the previous week, the old previous week low, I guess. You've got some session pointed controls that were left here from New York in previous sessions. I think there might even be a daily down there in terms of that. I don't keep track of them on this specific chart. I could do that on more of my high time frame stuff. But for scalping, this is what I do. So that's what I'd be expecting. I would like to see the previous day low taken at 19,038.50. I'd like to see the reaction off of that. That to me constitutes a really nice trade setup potentially. It could bounce from here and I don't get that, which is that'd be better for Bitcoin, to be honest with you. But the better setup is this one. People would be panicking, I think, if we came back and took this low. And that's what I want to see. Is it going to give me a trade to capitalize on the intraday and make a little bit of extra money, which never hurts, right? So that is it. That's it on Bitcoin, guys. Pretty simple stuff.
Cultivating fear, sir. Danny says legendary stuff, caveman levels. Man, your caveman levels are legendary, and they are so easy a caveman can do it. So it's always
that was always the secret sauce, man.
That one is good. Mr. Bonner says Max, who's not on the stream with us, is looking big in the profile pic. I've been hitting the trend.
I was like, Max. I was like, I know he's not talking about me. I'm slimming down like you, CVO. I'll be nice and fit when you meet me in December.
Oh man, you're gonna be walking the beach in Miami and turning heads.
Yep, short shorts. You know it.
Hopefully we'll be rocking the headphones when you're doing it too, because
I'm just trying to get the top of my head sunburned. That's all.
That's a vibe, man. That's a look. So at this point, I mean, we covered pretty much S&P. That aligns well with Bitcoin. Obviously, they're in tandem to some degree. I wanted to go over Quant, Ethereum, Solana. I think I'm going to cover Ethereum and Solana, and you might as well, if you don't mind. You want to just kind of dive into Quant? It's been a pretty big mover. I think everybody's pretty interested to see, some TA around that. And in my opinion, I think you have probably one of the best charts out there. So,
yeah, let me pull up the screen one more time here, and we'll hop over to Quant, take a peek at it. All right. So this is Cosmos. Adam was doing a little bit of work on this. Another really nice chart. There's the bottom call there after we bounced exactly from the level before. Just lovely little box into another caveman level, which is amazing. Go over to good old QNT over don't mind the label, guys. I know it says shit coins folder. Don't get upset. I've got everything in there. There's a chart for everything in there. So QNT, I actually worked up some TPO values for the group today as well. I posted them in there, just levels they can have on their chart. But this was a harmonic that we were looking for, and we talked about it last night. So when me and CVO first started getting together and I was showing them how I do charts, we actually looked at QNT, and this was back when we're talking like December, January. And I said, Quant's going to $40 probably. Like, you've got big support here, but $40 is probably going to happen eventually. And it did. And it gave us a deep crab setup. You've got a really nice play of that. And what did you do? One of the techniques that I use for pitchforks, right? We add a pitchfork to it. You basically started your new trend. You've come all the way to the top of that trend right here. You're overextended into macro resistance, same levels we've had on our chart for so long. And you've rejected. So this was a very nice move out of Quant. And this would be one of those where, like, if you haven't taken profits and you're trading this, there's a lot of people out there that are really into it and they're hodling this forever because it's going to be $20,000 a coin. It's going to take over Bitcoin, whatever their narrative is. If you believe that, you do you. But for me, as someone who is knows we're in a bear market, I'm taking those 300, 400% gains and I'm putting them in my bank. I can always get back in later. I don't care about that. Missing out is not something that I'm too worried about. But you had another deep crab off of this one. The only thing that's different is the 886 for the B leg wasn't quite an 886, but it's more than a 786. I wouldn't class this as a butterfly. It fits the parameters perfectly for a deep crab, and that is what you've got going on here. So timing on it was really nice. It was almost a 1-to-1 here. So this fairly symmetrical move, really parabolic on the last, move up, which should indicate to you guys, it's like, just like this, that's pretty parabolic, this does need to consolidate above these levels right here. And specifically, I'm actually going to go over to the group real quick and take a look at that chart because I believe I have it in the altcoin chat. I'm just going to pull it up. Yeah. So if you were to pull this just from the all-time high, right, you're looking at the value area high at 203. So we've run into it. We went past a little bit. We deviated the range. Your next target would be 105, right? And if you weren't looking for 105, you could always do, again, like we did with the S&P, you could throw time as your basis. And so if we're looking at this from a time basis, we can see that the value area high and the TPO value area high for this asset comes in about 158.90 as support, which is your exact bounce right here. You can see right there, that's where you came back to. Another great way that you could have done this was your original reversal, right? So this is a macro reversal pattern. It did take several months to play out. This is from January all the way over here to June. So this is a 6-month price action pattern, basically. This is not something to toy around with, really. I mean, you think about it. If something spends 6 months putting in a pattern and you get the reversal, the SFP into the global point of control, you have to know that you're looking for a decent sized move as soon as you crack back into this range. And you did. You back tested the previous low right here that you took perfectly back in the range. Now what you're looking to do is, I'm just pulling a global range on this one. You've got the value area high coming in right here. Same with your TPO value area high for the yearly. And if you look at it, you can see that you've come back down and back tested that and this pattern's X and A pivot, which that's the beauty of harmonics. That's what you want to use them for, is they're going to let you know where the inflection points in the range are. And so in this case, you've back tested the old pattern here very nicely. Perfect. Back tested the volume. What do we know if we lose this support? well, if we lose 158.90 or this low here and it turns into resistance, at a minimum, I'm expecting to see this B leg at 133. But I start looking back to those levels we were just talking about, right? We're looking at 105.20. You know, that's showing up on most of our high time frames here, 105. And if we just look at it from a horizontal level point of view, you know, you could go out to, let's get rid of these so it doesn't get too messy here. I'll get rid of this guy real quick. You can go out to like a monthly, for instance, guys, or a quarterly, and you could take a look and say, where's my nearest level? And your nearest level is coming in here. I thought I had a level for it. Doesn't matter. We'll put one on there. You have a nice level at 96. So you've got support there, and it would just fall right back into the narrative that I think if you were to look at this asset, it needs time to fill out a range and reaccumulate before it's going to have its next parabolic move, because this was a hype-driven rally. Just like, you know, XRP had its to $3 and Cardano went absolutely ballistic. Finally, it had like a massive hype rally before, then it went sideways for so long that we thought Cardano was never going to moon again. And it went from 3 cents to $3, you know. But one thing to note is that if you were to look at this just from the perspective of to here before we came down into this range, you know, you have a really thin volume profile here. So you have to expect that you're going to spend time down here. And this is in my public video from April. You know, I gave this to you guys publicly, gave you the target, gave you everything. This is, we're expecting to spend some time down here. Now, can it push higher from here? Absolutely. Anything can happen. You can't just sit there and say that you know everything just because the TA points to it. You can't make the assumption that you're going to always be correct. So in this case, you know, this is as simple as it needs to be. You've got box 1, box 2, box 3, and you could throw another box up here right at $290.30.9. That's your gold pocket. And from a structural standpoint, like on a quarterly basis, this would be your high. So I would be looking for this for my next opportunity. If it did push, I'd be looking at this as an opportunity, honestly, to look for either another take profit or to short. You know, that would be the thing. Like just like right here, this was a great opportunity to throw in a short on an asset that's no one is bearish on. You could have made great money on this. You know, even if you didn't catch the exact top, you know, let's say that you did something like this and you just caught right here and you didn't catch the exact bottom, you still made 21% just heading down. So there's always an opportunity in the market if you're trading it. You just have to hedge your risk and make sure that you're not in love with your trading idea. Because if you are, the issue with that is you start overexposing yourself, and, you know, people might be shorting right here. Like I actually thought this area right here might get a bigger reaction. All it did was SFP to local level and then get that final blow off, you know, taking everyone for a ride really quick. So it is one of those things where it's very interesting to you know, trade this asset, because it is the hype train of this bear market, so to speak. Like I think Adam did something similar. Like Cosmos did a very similar move. It just did it. You know, I don't think it was as impressive, but it was a good move, if I recall. And that was one that we traded as well. But you got to think, you went from $4 to 16. No, it was very similar, 400%. So how quick we forget, because this, you know, peaked out back here in like September. But I mean, you got to remember, this thing came all the way down to our macro support here that's outlined at $5.46, all the way back up to $16.45. So 300+%. Yeah, I mean, this is going to happen in bear markets when you have altcoins that are down 90%. You know, that's just to show you guys like what can happen if you play the levels correctly and you put them on your chart. You know, but again, if you didn't take profits on that, you're all the way back down to $11. You know, and anything below that, if we're living here, I think the overall POC of the range is actually right here. Yeah, you lose this level, you know, about $10.96, $11. You're getting rejected at your Q4 now. You're heading down to the low of the range at the 754 level. Again, that's your next opportunity. Most likely, I should say. I shouldn't say we know that, but more than likely, the most high probability opportunity I want to be involved in is that. The question is if we get down that low, what's going on with Bitcoin in the stock market? You know, are they dumping? And if they are, am I willing to try to catch a falling knife on some of these altcoins? Because I'm not that person personally. You know, so it does kind of like, there's always going to be caution, I guess. There's always a reason not to take a trade. You have to find a reason to make you want to take it and make you risk your own money. That's the key. Like if you can't do that at a minimum, then like, yeah.
It's interesting to note too, man. Like, you know, I know everybody always brings up FOMO and this and that, and people buy high and sell low and whatever, but like it really is consistent. It is time and time again. I'm pulling up the XRP chart right quick because Quant, which, you know, as you just noted, you know, could go higher, but you know, you're coming into some heavy risk at this moment in the market that we're in, because you're talking about something that's up 400% right now if people are buying from the low, right? Where there's other opportunities, whereas maybe something that, isn't going to move quite that same, way in the short term here, but you risk, I'm going to share my screen here. You risk eating those pullbacks, like you just noted, right? For quant, that was an easy 20 or 30% right off the high where everybody was, funneling into. I saw a lot of people actually, I'm DCAing in the quant here and literally at 190 or whatever it was, 170, 180. And that might play out, in the sense of, running it up. But like you said, you got to have that plan in place because, where you're going to get stopped out at, if that's going to be, the idea set, or if you're just going to long-term hold, if we come up to that 290 on quant, you really want to have something in play, right? Where it's, if you're going to take something off the table, protect your asset, hedge it a little bit, whatever. XRP did the exact same thing. And not as large as of a push up, but we all know how XRP, Doge, Shiba, a lot of these quant at the moment, a lot of these coins can move and they incite the market like nothing you've ever seen before, right? You can, and just like you just said, Atom just pushed up 400% and upwards, of a few weeks or months. Kyber Network a few months before that did. And they get some attraction, but it's nothing like, everybody forgets about it. Or even sometimes you'll not even really hear about it.
People in this market, like that's what, there's a huge discrepancy in like who's in this market, in my opinion. You have people that are investors because they believe in the technology. That's the people that are in the cult. I call it the cult. They drank the Kool-Aid, they're ready to hold this thing until, they're millionaires, they think. And maybe some of them will be right. We know that some people will be right. It's just like the .com era. The issue with that is when you marry these things, you have to hedge your risk on that because there are no guarantees, like AOL was huge for a long time. It's not even a thing anymore. Ask Jeeves. Like I grew up in this era of the internet, these are things that don't exist anymore. And there will be crypto projects that you think are amazing and they're going to change the world and they're going to disappear in the future. Even some of the big ones, it could even be Bitcoin. We don't know what the future has. We don't know. We can only place educated bets and hedge our monetary risks so that if we're not right, we're not left going, how am I gonna invest now? I put all my money into that. You don't want to be holding like a bag of JC Penney. But there's a huge discrepancy in who's in this market. You have those people who are very invested in the idea and the dream of this company. They've been sold on it a little bit, and then you have people that are kind of like me, but even worse, where they're just like trying to make a quick buck because it's crypto. That's why I said it's on to the next thing. Like Cosmos pumps 400%. People forget, why? Because it's no longer making them money. Because the majority of this market is about pumping and dumping and then pumping again, dumping again. That's just the nature of crypto for right now because it is still a really infantile market, So you have to take that approach, in my opinion. I'm not saying you can't have long-term bags and that you shouldn't do your own research on fundamentals, but I think the fundamentals of coins are really blown out of proportion in this market as of right now. Those fundamentals are meant to sell you into you buying into that company because that's all these things are. And some of them don't even have working projects and probably never will. Not saying that's XRP by any means. I'm just saying in general, that's how I feel about it.
Right. Well, and then the investing side of that, everybody gets so wrapped up, especially with crypto, it's like, it's gotta be 10X by, a couple weeks from now, or, from where I buy, no matter what entry, it like has to only go up. And then, if you're going to be long-term investing, this next year really shouldn't matter in the sense of what happens, except for, if you're going to try to, get some more or whatever the case is. And everybody gets really, really worked up when price pulls back and then you start panicking and, it's all like wrapped up in that emotion. But XRP is a really good example, I think, of what Quant's going through right now. And, this stole the show for a couple of days, really nothing major. I mean, look at how much time we spent down here at the range low. This was literally, this must be June, right? So you fell down to here. You had 4, 5, 6. This is a 4-hour time frame. So this is, basically, let's see, 13th to, you had 5 days literally to scoop up at the exact low, at least locally right now. Spent a lot of time just bouncing around, getting rejected right here. Every time we come up to these regions, this is where everybody starts buying without a strategy or without an idea in place of, this is literally you will hear a rumor that the SEC is about to drop a lawsuit. And, when we're coming up to these prices, actually, that was probably what was, the major headline at the time, is that rumor has it. Literally, no, just sheer speculation. And all you did was rotate the range coming up to the high. And at this point, instead of making 77% upside, if you were looking even just here, not even getting the exact low, right, coming up on some of these higher lows as we were coming off of the overall value area, we let's see, where's my little, oh, they moved it down here now. It's a weird spot. Sorry, they used to have it up at the top there. I put it on the replay mode. But yeah, we came up to this region. From there, personally, I was looking for this golden pocket and back to the point of control as we got rejected off the high. Front ran it literally by like 1%, I think. 2-3%. Sorry. Ran it back. Got once more another rejection at the high. This daily level right here. If we lose that, this is also a quarterly key level. Amongst a couple of other regions as well. I just have it marked off as the daily at the moment, but I mean, you're probably going to see that point of control once again down 40 cents, where everybody was ending up, buying in this region, come back, get the back test. And then what people will probably do is, if you manage to do that, you're going to probably end up selling around this region. We could very well come down the range low, but if you weren't paying attention for that high, you're talking about a 26% drop to the low from where we are right now. You're already down 18%, very similar to quant. And you're just accumulating at this region right now. So FOMO kicks in. You see things like quant ripping right now. Maybe you think about selling your bag that you bought at 55 cents. You're already down 20% on XRP. You dump it in quant. Quant falls 22%. And that's the vicious cycle I think that a lot of people fall into as well. But either way, neither here nor there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. XRP, you nailed that one too. Like, it was one of those where a lot of people were looking for that FOMO event. And you were just like, it's just a range, man. Like, that's it. It allows you so many opportunities when you can do that.
Yeah, I bring up XRP all the time because I did this back in the day, man. I would literally buy high and sell low. I would literally, be coming into it, or I held it. Really, that's really what I ended up doing. I had XRP, and if I would have, had a better strategy in place when we rallied from 15 to 30 cents, like 9 times over a year, there was 50% drop and 100% increase every single time. That would have been better, because all that really comes into place is that you get that scary news at the low, you get the good news at the high, you start panic selling it when you shouldn't, you don't sell it when you should. It's just literally it's time and time again. It's so crazy that to just witness it every day almost in the markets.
And the beautiful thing about that too is that most people don't realize it doesn't have to be all in or all out in that scenario where he talks about going from 15 to 30 cents. Like, he could sell some of his XRP at 30 cents in that case if he'd identified the range high. He doesn't have to sell all of it, but take some profits, because when it hits 15 cents again, you might want to re-add to that position and double up on some of your, positions there. You're not going to double your bag, but at the same time, you are going to be adding to your bag consistently. That would be my only advice. Like, never trade with all of your capital, especially in this market. But like, if you can compartmentalize that with your long-term holds and then trade a little bit of it and be successful on the swing trading side of things, that's going to make people really, really well and compound their wins in this market through a bear market, especially during the drawdown period, which is painful, as you know, because we were both in XRP back in 2017. And I bought it like 3 cents, ran it all the way to the exact high, and did not take any profits till like $1.20. And it had already come down. I could have, that's 100x that I gave up for a 40x, which isn't anything to really complain about. But at the same time, had I known better and spotted a downtrend, I probably would have at least taken some profits, because I think that's where a lot of people's faults are in this market.
Agreed. Taking those lessons and improving is definitely the way to go too. Magic said, smash those likes, everybody. We got 30 people watching. I think we only got 10 likes. If you are enjoying the content, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel here. We'll be doing this daily from now on at 10 a.m. Eastern. Covering pretty much everything in the market and our side of it, and some good ideas here. So,
yeah, and there's There was a question from, I'm going to butcher your name, Lolola98. I know they just joined the group. They were in their first live stream yesterday. And one of the things is, do we use order flow? Yes, we do. We use order flow to start looking for entries. You don't have to use it necessarily, but it is super helpful on low time frame trading. Like if you're day trading and you're not using order flow, like your success rate is going to be very marginal versus people that do have the tool and know how to use it. Anytime I'm looking for an entry on like a scalp position, like I've already outlined where I'm going to go and the level I want. And once I get there, the alert goes off. I look at the order flow and see if it's something I want to get into. You know, that's going to help you guys out quite a bit.
Yeah, and ExoCharts does have order flow. The footprint chart for like all the altcoins, especially. And I say all the altcoins. There's like 100, but it's definitely the major ones. And it's pretty helpful. You have to download the desktop version, I believe, or the
One thing I'll say is that Max isn't here. He's on holiday. He's got family coming out to Dubai, but he's put together some really great order flow classroom lessons that are pre-recorded that we have in the Discord. And I've seen order flow from many different people, and his is done exceptionally well. So that is one thing I will kind of plug there, is that is a tool that if you are struggling to learn how to use it, you know, you're going to have to invest some time, but at the same time, we've got resources that are really, really good for that. I got to give him some credit, because I always say he made my lessons look very amateur, because he went very professional with it and very much so it feels like you're at a university. So
I would agree to that. Yeah. And actually we have a new website coming out for Leading Crypto, hopefully this week. Definitely be dropping. It's going to have a couple of, nice discounts for first-time members. We're going to have access to actually log in through the website for the exclusive member live streams, and it'll have the Academy in there, very orderly, organized. It'll have a percentage based on, what percentage of the Academy you fulfilled. So it'll kind of keep you a little motivated and encouraged to kind of keep continuing through the sections. Magic and Max have done a really good job on conducting a really, really great step-by-step Academy, on all the tools and resources we use. The order flow and open interest is key. I mean, and Max does a very, very great job of it, and he's got a great accent. It's the English accent for me. I mean, he could be telling me to literally eat shit, and I think I would just have a smile on my face. So
yeah, he does have the voice. He's got that going for him. That
he's got accent. The voice.
Yeah, he's got the voice. He doesn't sound like a 21-year-old or 22-year-old kid living in Dubai.
Living his best life, man. 21-year-old in Dubai. Nothing but a bunch of overnight oats and wiener dogs.
Yeah, wiener dogs. He's got a wiener dog. He's always walking the sausage dog. He says they're the most loyal dogs. I can confirm sausage dogs are the best dogs. They need you to survive, so they love you unconditionally. Yeah.
Can't get on the couch without him. You know what I'm saying?
No, can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere without crypto. He's like a magnet. Like if you're his person in that moment, he's gonna follow you around. So
that's it. Taking a look at Ethereum now. This chart I've had up. I mean, it's pretty mid to long term basis. It's not necessarily a short term day trading setup by any means. Had these levels marked out for. I mean, this is from Q2 at this point of this year, so going almost on 6 months. Really almost 9, because I started this at the beginning of Q2 when I was in Portugal. I remember being 6-hour time difference making this chart up at that time. So these levels have been, spoke on, brought up, brought to attention, prepared for, strategized with for, like I said, like that mid to long term movement with Ethereum. So base this came into the overall low here at 877, obviously on June when everything else made that mark down. Had a nice move up. Got ran into a I think this is the golden pocket actually at the time, a macro golden pocket from the overall high. This is now our daily level that we were looking at to flip at some point if we get back up there. We've got the golden pocket from this recent low to high now as well that we've spent a lot of time cultivating in, and I guess you could say accumulating either above support or at support, which like Magic said, could go either way at this level. But to me, really just losing this Q2 point of control, this $1,221, that's really your line in the sand. Your red flare, I guess, should be going off if you start losing this, getting the back test. From there, I'd be expecting to come down and finally take out the untapped daily down at $1,034. I would imagine if we came down to this region, there would be a bounce to be had at some point, but that probably wouldn't be where we stop. This would be, right back to that really well-rounded area, that 1K. Everybody would probably be looking to scoop that up. But I don't necessarily know if that would be the most pain, I guess you could say, if we came down to that region. I would be anticipating probably heading back down to the range low at that point. That's for the downside, just, bringing it up because it is there. And really that doesn't even come into, play until we start losing 1220. So we've had a couple times to actually get in around this region. I know we always say don't diddle in the middle. However, there are times where, I've personally been looking for this level since we came out of this region. This was my fresh entries idea, right? For anybody when we were living up in this region, everybody was wanting to get back into ETH, buy ETH, blah, 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 yada, 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 I should say. And, at the time I was like, I would, this is the level I would look for, right? We did the same thing with Quant. We did the same thing with Matic, a couple others as well, and it's just all really about patience, because at that time, this was August. And by the time we actually made it back down to these target levels, it was a month. But, you had to live out this possible front run. You had this other region over here, we came back up. And if you were looking at this at the time, you're just looking at higher lows and possibly, going up and making a new higher high. Obviously, we did not do that. So it really does come down to having that plan in place. So we update these levels every single day in the group. We have the members market updates every Wednesday and Sunday night, kind of go over that stuff. I'll probably be covering ETH, on here live every day, 10 a.m. on our new morning podcast here. We're trying to, come up with a classy name. We're thinking the morning hash to deal with hash rate and, Max making us breakfast when he comes here. But so from here, we're still in the same region we've been in for literally the last few weeks. No surprise there. You do get a little bit of excitement as you kind of run around this $50 to $80 level window here. Got a nice swing low right here, taking out the previous low just a couple days ago. I think this was the 13th. Yep. And then basically just ripped it right back up to the upside, pretty much taking out anybody that was coming in late. Or anybody that had been, picking up their long, because more than likely they were putting their stop loss right below this low, which obviously we know how that goes. So for me, for any upside, we've got the EQ of the range and the untapped quarterly lined up really well, right at about 1462. And if we're looking at this from the previous quarter here as well, you can see that where we're at right now, we are coming right into the point of control. This is another reason why this area has been really, really, reliable for the last few weeks as well. We've got a lot of things lining up in this little area. And if we really just, stay above this 1338, which I know we're $2 below that right now, but living above this on, hourly closures, 4 hours and this and that, we probably will challenge up into this region, 1453. For any upside, though, I would really want to see that area reclaimed, right? And then we got an untapped weekly up here, same levels to the upside. And just to kind of keep it very clear, simple, these would be the areas I'm looking for. So to the downside, you lose 1220. You're heading down probably this untapped daily at least. Probably will offer up a bounce, a little trade idea in the short term. From there, you'd have to reevaluate where we want to see, some new confirmations from. And then for upside, looking to take out the untapped quarterly, 1462. If you're not already in a position, honestly, those would be the two areas I'd be looking for. So personally, I am buying, and I've already put my positions in, obviously. But I was waiting for this region. So will we go lower? Could. I still have, some alerts set for this region, but this was the area I was waiting on. So personally, I'm in pretty decently with ETH and prepared to get in a little bit further down. And I do just want to bring up just one of the doomsday areas, just in case, you get this crazy wick, all right, to the downside. We get this huge capitulation. Everybody talks about the 10K Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. The one area, if we lose this low, and, whether or not that happens, who knows? The one area that I'd be looking for personally is going to be this untapped yearly key level all the way down at $530. Yeah. Does that have to be where we stop? Not necessarily. But for me, if I was to take X amount of my portfolio and spread that out around, literally just set bids almost, which is not necessarily the greatest idea. But if I was to, it would be these three areas. It would be the untapped daily, the range low, and then, it's a joke or a meme at this point, but if you were to back up a truck, it would probably be around these regions. But yeah, that's pretty much what I would be looking for ETH. Once again, not to get super bearish at this region, because I do think that we, could have some upside potential here. Obviously, rotate this range in full once and for all. And that starts to me once we really clear 1459. That's about $120 from where we are now. And hopefully, if you were getting in some of these levels here, that's possible 20% just to get to that region. Really, hopefully, you were picking up around these areas where we spent a lot of time, basically at $1,000. So that would be enchanting. However, to just get a nice little Christmas, what do they call it, the Santa rally? We'll see how it goes.
We got a question from William here about Mr. XRP. How low do you think it can come down to? I'll field that one if you want.
Dude, please.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Go ahead and get that shared. So this was XRP. The setup, I actually had these levels marked for over a year. Was looking for 29 cents. Got a lot of hate for that video back in 2021 in July. But we've come down. You've got the perfect bounce. You have a very nice structural bat, and the timing on it's actually very good too. It's a very clean one outside of this ABC right here that is very quick. And this is a weekly chart, for just so you guys know. But you've come down. You've back tested pretty major support. So if we start losing, I would say 36.94 down to that 29.35. I'm going to be pretty precise with that box, that little window. I really don't see anything until, another 10 cents, like at 19. Main reason being is if we go out to, I believe it's Bitstamp, you can see some pretty major levels there. And yeah, they're already marked. Go to log. And all you're doing on this one is you're just heading out to your yearly chart, and we're just taking a look at it and saying, this is how I was able to get out. I'm pretty close to the top up here. Like, I'm pretty proud of what I did in this region. Was getting out at $1.96, caught the move up, called the breakout, all that stuff, had the appropriate targets. It was nice. And now what you can see is if we lose 29 cents, like you said, 40 cents is support, but 36.94 down to 29 cents for me is going to be that well-defined level. Main reason being is you got to look, this is your support, and losing that anytime you're below 29 cents, you pretty much go to 19. Below 29 cents, you're going to 19. And that's your yearly level down there. So if we see that again, it's not like game over by any means, but you have to be prepared for that. And so if you're looking to get into an asset like this, the best place to be putting on positions, and I'll show you, kind of as a range, we'll use a little trick here down to, and we'll just do the OB setting on this. That'll work. And so now what you want to be doing is you want to be buying at the bottom 25%, right? You want to be buying down here. This is where you want to be buying. You don't want to be buying necessarily here. These are pretty quick moves. You notice we don't spend much time here. So there is a chance that maybe if XRP is put in a decent bottom here off that harmonic, you do put in a sizable range between, 36 cents, 35 cents, whatever it may be, and 60 cents, and fill this area out a little bit more. Otherwise, coming back down to 19 is not the end of the world. You start losing 14,774 though. That's like your Corona support, basically. That it is untested. You don't want it to get tested. Like, you don't want this coming back that low. So that would be when it's time to panic. I don't necessarily see that happening right now. We'd have to see what's going to happen to the market. But like I said, I was looking for XRP to come down these levels. I took that trade. It was on my Twitter. You guys got to see my entry and everything. I think it was like 32 or 33 cents average. And I did take profits on the way up. I took them. I didn't take them at the exact top. I think I took them at like 51 cents. I think I front ran it. I did leave a little bit to run, but I will close that out as we're coming back down and getting closer to my entry. There's no point in leaving the trade open. And then I'll reevaluate, as you were saying earlier, and see where our next confirmation might be for a position. But XRP can come all the way down to 19 cents, man. It can even go lower than that. But for right now, the most important level is going to be between that 29 cent and 36.94 zone of support. It's kind of a big window in terms of percentage, but in sense, it's really easy to say, okay, 7 cent region, basically like right here, I need to see this holding as support. If it does, it may be another second opportunity for, more ranging action, as you alluded to earlier, CBO, 15 cents to 30 cents. Maybe our new range becomes, 29 cents to, 50 to 60 cents. That could be a very real possibility, especially if the markets don't dump here. They do pull off the soft landing and Bitcoin continues to just grind sideways and up. That would be what I would expect out of XRP, actually, would be to spend some time here, put something in, and then reverse, because it really does reverse off pretty major consolidations. This is a weekly chart, like a huge consolidation. Weekly chart, huge consolidation, descending triangle. So it does tend to put in pretty sizable, structures before it does anything. Even right here, this could be a falling wedge, however you want to look at it. But it was a nice inverse head and shoulders to cap it off, right? And of course, every single inverse head and shoulders for you pattern traders out there does have a cup and handle. There's your cup and handle. Rule number one. But yeah, so I would wait a little bit for XRP. You had a miniature double bottom here, which you're going to have those just like right here. Doesn't mean you can't pull back and put in that high or low at support. That's what you want to see. I would look at this as opportunistic as you can, unless the context is, Bitcoin's nuking through to like 10K, in which case I'm not touching anything at that time. I'm going to let the dust settle, and I will take my positions once I have a better read on the market. I'm not a buy and pray type of guy. It's not my style. So
it's pray and pray,
dude. It's that's a real thing in crypto. People do that all the time. So, but to each their own. If it's working for them, go for it.
Heard that. Can you hit that comment off? I don't know where it's at.
I don't know how to do it, but I'll do it. Oh. We'll figure it out. Oh, it's just says hide. There you go.
Boomer moment, man.
Bro, no one gave me a tutorial on this. We don't have that in the academy. So
all right, that'll be my portion. All right, the last one I want to touch on, we're right at our hour threshold here, so nice timing. Solana, right? So this is had some negative fundamental news. They've had hacks, they've had shutdowns. Pretty much in my almost as bad as it gets across the board. Fundamentally, on a technical side, oddly enough, actually, this was another one. So how we were talking, Magic and I, earlier when we were talking together back in December of last year, we were going over things, Solana, Mana, Quant, all these low levels that they came into. He's the power bottom in the relationship for this reason, because he was able to identify.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
All these lows. From so far out, really precisely. So very, very crazy skill set my man has. But taking a look at Solana, just a very simple range here. We've come back down, retested the lows here once again, and gotten a nice bounce. For anybody that's an RSI junkie, right? Looking here, you got some bullish divergence that's possibly playing out here. Really doesn't, confirm for a bit, but you did have higher lows coming in on the RSI, lower lows coming in on the price action. Got the bounce literally right at the overall val. And from here, for any more upside, really want to be taken over. We do have the quarterly VWAP comes in right about $31. You got the monthly, a monthly at 32. From there, we've got an untapped quarterly point of control in this golden pocket. So this little region right here is going to offer up some resistance, a really nice take profit area if you are going to be short term playing this. And then after that, you've got the untapped weekly range high. I'm sure there's some form of a harmonic being put into play here. But either way, full range rotation would be on board, in my opinion. Stop loss right below the low. This is a really nice setup, in my opinion, for a short-term move here, even if it is just to rotate back to range high, which is a nice, from where we are at this moment, almost 100% move. So not to overlook this region if we do, get the move up here. So it isn't all just about, just going from low to high. You do have some really nice areas that you got to keep in mind. Obviously, we've already not done that so far, right? You didn't rotate the whole range. Came up essentially in the middle here, back tested the point of control. Down we go once again. So from where we are, these would be the main areas I'm looking for. So $37, $39. You got the $40 golden pocket. Untapped weekly is really just a pit stop, nothing major. And then the overall value area high. So that's on the technical side. I bring that up because fundamentally Solana is the scariest it could probably ever be. Could it just melt down from here? Sure. But this is also some of those positions where, you get those really negative news right at the bottom. So just something to keep in mind for anybody that's looking to either, get involved for a little mid to long-term hold, because this very well could take a few weeks. Not saying this is going to happen overnight. Very similar to Ethereum. Ethereum had situations like this back in the day too. So there was several times where Ethereum's I mean, it literally, you can probably find the same news headlines from several years ago. So it happens to the best of them, I suppose. Not saying Solana is going to be the best, and I could care less as far as like, holding this for years, but short-term wise, this I think does offer up some opportunity. So like I said, clearing validations right below. Start losing that. Obviously, your range low at 2681. Start closing below there. Back test, yada, yada, yada. That'd be what to look for. So Magic, do you have anything to add before we finish up here, sir?
No, man, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to like spam a comment after the thing goes live in the comment section, let us know if there's a coin you want us to look at. On one of the shows, we'll probably look at 1 or 2 a day that are, suggested from you guys. Otherwise, we'll just randomly pick. I imagine, there'll be the usual suspects. People are going to want to see like H-bar, things like that. So I see OC Pet Doctor.
I see OC in there too.
I already know he's going to want to see some H-bar. So like, but some of the coins that do have, Matic, coins that people have a bit of a following. Like I am a Polkadot guy. Like I am, I've been accumulating Polkadot, and even though Dot's looking pretty terrible, but that was one that I had been looking for down at these levels. So I'll be looking at that one down to about $4 and some change. We can go over that a different day. But yeah, if you guys have altcoins you want us to look at, or topics even you want us to cover, let us know. We'll do our best to keep it as on point as possible, not just TA, maybe even cover like some news story stuff like that.
Yeah. We'll get into the news for sure. Awesome. Well, we are Leading Crypto. This is the morning hash.
There you go.
Testing out my Anchorman voice. Make sure to like, subscribe to the video if you guys enjoyed the content. Be sure to tune in every day, Monday through Friday, at least 10 a.m. Eastern. We will have Max joining us probably next week, going over some order flow live daily. Like Magic says, if a trade presents itself while we're live, we will be taking that opportunity with you all. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see anything specific, and keep your eyes peeled for the website launching hopefully this week for Leading Crypto if you'd like to join the Discord group there. So till next time, everybody, hope you have a great afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Cheers.